Hi, my name is Danny Ashkenasi. I am the director, actor, composer, and writer of The Pit and the Pendulum Musicale, a musical adaptation of the classic Edgar Allan Poe story. And everything that you love about Edgar Allan Poe is in this film, his writing, the horrible, scary things that happen to the protagonist, the pit, the pendulum, and then the walls as well. But it is all enveloped in music. You can hear some of it in the background right now. And there's also a framing device, a story about a modern day composer imagining himself the victim of Edgar Allan Poe's tale, the victim of the Spanish Inquisition, who do horrible, horrible, torturous things to him, but it's all happening in his own mind, which makes it all a little more surreal. So the judges, for example, are the composer himself. Just instead of long hair and a beard, as he appears in the movie, the judges are bald and beardless. And there's 3 of them, and they all look alike. And that only gets more and more intricate in his own imagination. We use something called mirror masks, mirror pieces that were attached to my face to create crazy imagery, like cubism but live on set, as a way to make the judges basically deconstruct in crazy, frightening imagery. And you'll get to explore that if you watch the movie. Among other things, like the pendulum, the famous pendulum that swings and comes down to cut the poor protagonist in half. Well, in our movie, it's a cello bow with a knife, with a blade, because the composer writes for cello. His own cello is destroyed by the soldiers of the Inquisition, and so in his own fevered imagination, it's his own music come to kill him. So that is our musical interpretation of Edgar Allan Poe. It's actually my second musicale of Edgar Allan Poe. My first was The Telltale Heart, a musicale, which I originally did on stage, performed surrounded by 3 cellos. But in 2019, I made a film of it. It did very well on the festival circuit. It won 64 IMDb approved awards. And as I was in post-production for it, I got the idea of how I could adapt its sibling piece, The Pendulum Musicale, the one that you are about to see here at the FFTG Awards, and the one whose music you can hear in the background. And it has had a very good run at the festival circuit as well. It has won 68 IMDb approved awards, so it beat out its younger sibling by just a smidge. But it's also, in many ways, they have a lot in common. They are both films with 3 cellos playing, although The Pendulum also has a piano. They are films that are one-man productions, in a sense, with not just because I wrote it and wrote the music and perform in it, but also because it all sort of takes place in the mind of one person. In The Telltale Heart, it's a crazed, psycho killer. And in the Pendulum, it's a person suffering from depression and anxiety, and who turns this inside onto himself, like turns his own fear and depression into his own personal inquisition. It was a very difficult and challenging production. Both films, we needed to record all the music ahead of time. For budgetary reasons, there was no way to perform live on set, which meant that the performances had to be perfectly in sync with the recordings that were played on set. And then there's a lot of special effects, a lot of visual... well, you'll have to see the film for yourself to see what I'm talking about. It's not just the mirror masks that created the visual cubism, it's also the way the pendulum works. It's also what he imagines himself to be when he's in utter darkness, things like that. But we've shot it all, The Pendulum, in 10 days, and then had 2 months of post-production, and then we sent it out to the world, and we're now at the end of its festival run. After that, I hope to put it on a streaming service, but you can see it ahead of time here at the FFTG Awards, and I hope you enjoy it. Oh, the music is coming to an end. This sounds like the climax of this particular piece. What is happening here? I don't try to remember. It is very, very dramatic. Someone is just about to die. Or is he?